Okay, thank you for the invitation. I come from real estate background, so for me it's a great pleasure to be here, especially in this building, which I had a chance to visit just before its opening 3 years ago during a Urban Land Institute's conference here in Warsaw. Yeah, we're doing Hyperloop, but in a very, very different way, and basically my experience coming from real estate was one of the reasons why we have decided to change this concept. We are dealing with a huge lack of disruptive innovation in the railway industry, at least since the 80s when maglev was introduced. And on the other hand, this transportation sector faces fierce competition from other means like road and air. And in 2013, Elon Musk proposed something that for many people is expected to be a solution for this. It's called Hyperloop. It was supposed to be a hybrid between railways and airlines. It's basically about connecting cities with tubes with very low air pressure in which we can travel very fast. But it's not that easy to implement. There's a couple of companies doing it. It seems that the momentum is getting stronger. 3 important markets started regulatory processes on this: EU, in which we take part, US recently, and also Canada. So the sector in the last 2 years started growing dramatically. But the biggest issue in implementing this technology is linked with real estate, with planning processes, land acquisition processes, which last a lot of time. In Europe, on average, building a new railway takes 15 to 20 years. In the UK, more closer to 40 or 50. In Germany, something between 30 and 40. And it's all linked with real estate, basically. If we need to plan new route, do all the permits, environmental stuff, land acquisition with, not in my background, not in my backyard attitude of most of the people, it's really not easy. And on the other hand, we have a sector which used to be the backbone of the transportation systems basically all over the world. If we look at Europe, at North America, many other places around the world, the railways basically built the modern urban network, but they are totally underutilized now. But still, the infrastructure is laid on probably the most valuable pieces of land that we can even imagine, because these are mostly 19th century lines going into city centers. All the modern road or airport infrastructure was built basically outside city centers. So there is nothing that can be compared to location of land under the railways. But on the other hand, they are not very heavily used. I guess most of us know places where we can see a train coming every an hour, every 2 or 5 sometimes. And on the other hand, on the road, there's a huge of traffic. So that's why we have decided to implement the Hyperloop concept in stages and start with existing railway infrastructure. So we rather try to upgrade it at first, and then when all the subsystems are tested in the first 2 steps, think about building completely new infrastructure. So we start with a magnetic train which can be implemented on existing railways without the vacuum yet. So it's quite easier, and we can operate on the same line 2 types of vehicles, still normal trains and passive magnetic levitated trains. Then we can enclose the system, double the speed, and the third step is building completely new lines for very high speeds. So yeah, basically the first step is about adding a linear motor between the rails and magnetic track on both sides, and this is enough to be able to use the same line for two types of vehicles. We focus on hardware for the moment, specific elements of the system. This allows basically to transform any conventional railway line that can go now up to, let's say, 160 kilometers per hour to around 300 with almost 40% lower maintenance costs. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so what can be the influence on real estate markets? Speeding up and shortening the time speed of travel and shortening times. Here you can see maybe not the best example between Warsaw and Berlin. Now it takes at least 2.5 hours by plane. Car and train around 5-6 hours. With Hyperloop it would be ultimately not more than 30 minutes. Of course, the previous versions, which are not so fast, would mean around 2 hours at first and then an hour, which is basically what we have now, let's say Warsaw and Łódź. Yeah? So it could tremendously influence the real estate markets, the labor markets, office markets, and so on. And at first also, of course, logistics, because we can think about connecting places that are not so distant, like in Poland, the best two examples, Warsaw and Łódź, which we could have in the first version with 300 kilometers per hour. It would be less than half an hour, so it would become basically one city. And the same with Krakow and Katowice, which would be even less, around 20 minutes. Yeah. Okay, this is maybe not so interesting from your side. We're basically focusing on railway companies licensing IP to them. What we've achieved till now, we've submitted 8 patent applications. We are the only company with this type of technology globally. Now we're building a 1:5 scale proof of concept. It's going to be around 50-meter long track where we will show our propulsion and levitation. This should be ready just after the holidays. We've received funding recently. We've done the first Polish equity crowdfunding campaign in London on Cedars, and recently we also received a grant from the National Center for Research and Development here in Poland. So we are funded enough to continue the R&D process. We're also quite active in international conferences, accelerator programs. Now we're going to be in Switzerland for 4 months at Mass Challenge. It's an American accelerator. The team is mostly engineering with a lot of experience in civil engineering, mechanical engineering. We also have international advisory board from experts in logistics, for example, Dorota Raben from Poland, people from Israel, Lithuania, and a Polish-American professor who's a leading expert globally on electromagnetism. He used to work on the Japanese Shinkansen maglev. Here's a couple of companies our team has worked for. We have a couple of institutional partners, LOT Polish Airlines, and now recently also Microsoft supported us. We also work closely with Railway Research Institute in Warsaw, which is a certification body. Our test track will be built on their premises near Wrocław. And we work together with 3 other European Hyperloop companies on regulation and standardization. And we will be basically very happy to get in touch with any logistics, real estate developers or advisors, because we're going to start soon working on an automated logistics hub, which will be key element to get our logistic technology on the markets. We'll be very happy to work with this kind of companies. If someone is interested, please get in touch with us. Thank you.